I am doing both a podcast episode and a video. So, on the video, I'm Imani. If you're new here, if you're out here, welcome back. So, today's episode is going to be about the importance of family. As you all know, I have been in my degree. I ain't going to say I've been in my bag, but I've been in my degree. Therefore, I have been extremely busy seeking higher education, focused on school, work, all that good stuff. But currently, as you all know, the degree that I'm studying for has to do with people and studying to become a therapist. So, actually studying to become a social worker and then later on becoming a therapist, possibly. Well, it's gonna happen. But while studying, we do speak a lot on the family dynamic and how our environments basically create us into the individuals that we are today, and how a lot of us are products of our environment, whether it be our neighborhood or products of the family environment and the family dynamic in which we are a part of. It's so many factors that play a role into who we are as individuals, and I don't think people realize how these things can play a role into who we are. So recently I re-listened to one of my podcast episodes where I was talking about home for the holidays, and I started talking about family and just kind of how growing up, a lot of my past traumas, like the things that I had to deal with as a kid, and my relationship with particular family members, how that impacted me as a kid and how that impacted me as an adult. And today I just wanted to talk about like the importance of family and how family plays such a huge role in who we are. And I don't think I don't think we as people realize it and understand it. I'm not gonna say everybody, because there are people out there who know that, of course, the way that you raise your child is who they're gonna grow up to be in the future, and who you raise your child around and who you allow around your child, and the environment that you allow your child around, the education that you allow your child to, not allow your child, but the education that you feed your child with, the cartoons that you allow your child to consume, the YouTube, the everything, media, all that stuff that you allow your child to consume is what's going to impact your child and going to create a big child, which is an adult. Because I say a big child because a lot of adults out here are walking around acting like big children because they didn't get the necessary proper treatment as children. So they definitely did not completely grow up and become proper adults. So let's talk about the importance of family. So as you all know, growing up, my mother was incarcerated for multiple years of my life, and I was mainly raised by my grandmother. And I grew up with cousins. My uncles were in the household, my aunties. My grandmother was very, like, how do I say? She was very open. She had an open arm. She allowed any and everybody to come stay with her if they needed to. She had a big, huge, humongous heart. My grandmother was very, very smart. She was very intelligent, and she was doing something that people are talking about today. In today's age, she was trying to build a generational wealth, which I don't think my family realized that, because of course, I don't know. Like, I feel like my grandmother didn't necessarily, she had the knowledge, but she wasn't necessarily instilling it in her own children. She was instilling it, well, trying to instill it in her grandchildren, but she didn't get to live long enough in order for her to teach us properly, in order for her to teach us as older individuals, to kind of like help us and, show us the route to how to do everything. But my grandmother owned several properties. She opened up bank accounts, savings accounts for each one of her grandchildren that was sitting there multiplying as we got older. And then once we turned 18, we got access to the money. My grandmother had a degree. She had an associate's degree, I think in criminal justice or something like that. She worked as a gaming patrol officer. Like honestly, looking back at my grandmother, I can literally say she was a role model. She was very active in the community. She was giving back in the community. But I think her doing all of that, she was kind of neglecting teaching her children the skills that they needed in order to also create that same generational wealth, you know. When she left, it's like the things that she had kind of just went away. But back to the importance of family. Like I said, I feel like my grandmother didn't get a chance to instill the knowledge that she had in her children. And maybe she tried to, but not everybody in the family were nice to each other. Not everybody in the family were nice to other people's children. Not everybody in the family were able to understand the true importance and the true meaning of family. And it played a huge role in the toxicity of what the thing is today, of the way people are today in the family and the way life just is for some of us, you know. But it takes, you really have to take your upbringing and take the way that you grew up and kind of flip it. For everybody, it's not the same. Some people take life and they learn from it. Some people take life and woe is me from it, and they expect sympathy. They expect people to give them a handout for everything. But for others, you just take the horrible situation or the horrible treatment and turn it into something positive, or turn it into something that will eventually create a better situation for you. And saying that, let's go ahead and dive into relationships with your family, how important it truly is, and how it does truly mold who you do become as an adult. And I really don't think people realize that. I keep saying that. I don't think people realize that. Now, as adults or as kids, we could rewind. Our first friends are our cousins, and I don't think people realize that. Our first sleepover is usually at our favorite cousin's house, or our first sleepover is at our grandma's house. The first people we learn how to share with, if it's not your siblings, then it will be your cousins. For some people who grow up and as only children, they're usually typically like a little bit selfish, and then when they spend time with their cousins, they learn how to share. You know, you learn so much when you go to school. Especially if you don't have other children around you. If it's just you in a household and your parents, you're not necessarily going to know how to interact with other children. That's why I'm saying family plays a huge role into who we are. And if you don't have a positive family dynamic, that can possibly lead you to not knowing how to deal with other people. Especially if you had a toxic, I think I just a toxic family dynamic. Yeah, I just said that. Okay, so for me, as I've told you guys, I have the hardest time keeping friends or making friends and keeping people around. And I've been on a journey of trying to understand, why is it so hard to have friends? Why is it so hard for me to keep people around? Why is it so hard for me to just, you know, mesh with other people and fit in with everybody? And I realized that growing up, I was kind of like the outsider, kind of like the little bald-headed stepchild. I was like the black sheep of the family, so to say, because like I said, my mother was in prison, so I lived in the house with everybody, and yeah, it's Imani. Imani's here, you know, nothing too special, just Imani, just Imani. But being just Imani. I grew really, really close knit with my grandmother. Me and my grandmother were like this. Everybody says it's because we looked alike, that's why we were so close. But that ain't the reason why. My grandma loved me. She spoke so much life into me. She made me feel like I was so important. She made me feel like I was somebody. She made me feel like I was beautiful. She made me feel like I was intelligent. She made me feel like anything I wanted to achieve, I could achieve it. Anything that I wanted to accomplish, I could accomplish. Like, that was me and my grandmother's relationship. And I truly did love her. And I spoke on this on my other podcast episode. But yeah, like, I had situations with family that some comments were said to me growing up. And that kind of did take a toll on me. And I don't think people realize that sometimes family can be our first bullies, and sometimes family can be our own worst enemies. And it shouldn't be like that, because your family should be the ones that you can confide in. Your family should be the ones that lift you up. Family should be the ones that make you feel good about yourself. Family should be the first people that you come to when there's an issue, you know? And for the case of my family, that just wasn't it. My grandmother was my go-to person. And now as I'm growing closer to my mom is now my go-to person. I mean, I'm slowly declining. Yeah, mama be telling all my business to people. Mama don't know how to so yeah, that's not good. And I'm sure my mom probably felt like that with my grandma. Like, I'm sure my grandmother used to tell people business too. But when it came to me and the stuff that I confided in my grandmother with and the stuff that she confided in me with, I felt like it was our secret. It was just stuff that we spoke about. The only thing that my grandmother did do, me confiding in her, is when I think I was like 10 or 11, and I was really, really depressed, and I was ready to commit suicide. And that's when she scheduled to get a counselor. But when I was talking to her about being depressed, she was just like, you know, I love you and I care about you and I see you, you know. Your existence is real to me. You mean something to me. And for the longest, I felt like I didn't exist in my family, and I felt like my presence wasn't like important, you know. I was just there. I really felt like I was just there in my family. And I don't think people realize that just being there isn't enough. Like, I feel like when it comes to family, we need to acknowledge each other, and we need to acknowledge each other's feelings. Like, your emotions are real. Your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas are real. I remember when my grandmother passed, and a family member made a comment because I wasn't crying. I was like, just kind of like calm. And they made a comment like, oh, you must not really care. You didn't love her because you're not crying. Who says stuff like that? Like, child, y'all, my family is so toxic. And that, I don't think they realize that that had an impact on me. That made me feel like, dang, do I really not love my grandmother because I'm not crying right now in front of people? Does this mean that I don't care about her because I'm not crying in front of people? Little do they know I was crying myself to sleep every night. Little do they know I was writing letters asking God, why did you take her away? Little do they know the things that I was really battling as a 14-year-old that just lost the closest person to her. And it's crazy to me because family, when it comes to family, there's generational curses that need to be broken. And there's a lot of healing and a lot of therapy that needs to be done and experienced in order to fully and completely heal the rest of the family. Because if you don't heal this generation, their toxicity and their trauma is gonna roll over into the next generation. And me and my cousin, maybe I think a couple months ago, were talking. She called me crying about her parents because she got really frustrated about what was going on with her and her parents. And I told her, I had to remind her that your parents have trauma. There's trauma in every generation of the family. If they don't seek that therapy or that necessary help that is needed, their traumatic issues are going to trickle down and roll over onto you. And it's sad to say that with my family, there's so much trauma. Speaking of this girl, she just sent me a message. Anyways, y'all, where was I at? Oh, when it comes to family, if this trauma, there's no healing of the trauma, the issues within the family, it's going to continue to trickle down and roll over into the next generation. With my family, there was so much secrets, so much lies, so much heartache, so much pain within the family. And I felt it. And I still to this day feel it. I find myself sometimes crying for my family. And I feel like I'm about to cry now. I'm always crying. But I find myself taking on the emotions of my family because they have yet to get healed. So I feel like the obligation is 100% mine to heal in order to heal the rest of them. But in actuality, me healing myself isn't going to heal everybody. And when I tell you there's so much trauma in my family, woo child. When I say molestation, there's abandonment, there's alcoholism, there's abuse, there's drug addictions, there's a lot. And when they say you have to break that generational curse, or it's your obligation or it's your duty to break that generational curse, that's a lot. That's a lot of baggage. That's a lot to deal with. That's a lot to unravel. That's a lot to unbag. And for the longest time, I felt like the reason why I can't make friends and the reason why people don't like me, or the reason why I can't seem to find people that want to stick around, is because I have so much trauma. I have so much baggage. My family is a hot freaking mess. And then there's me, who's just trying to be this perfect, just something, so that I can be accepted by society and not have, I'm not crying out my voice, yeah, but not have to be another statistic, or not have to be another single parent, or not have to be another addict, or not have to be another alcoholic, or not have to be another abuse victim. Like, family plays such a huge role in who we are. Let's talk about a father. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I do not have a father figure in my life. Mama was little box, and I don't have a father. So, as we all know, a father is the first man that shows you what love is. A father is the first man that shows you how you're supposed to be loved. Now, don't get me wrong, I had father figures. We spoke about cousins. I'm gonna go back to cousins, but I had father figures. I had my great grandfather, I had my grandfather. Grandfather was a thought, had several kids, several grandkids, severals. So I didn't know that a man is supposed to just stick to one woman and love one woman. Like I had no concept growing up, like how is it really supposed to be? I had stepdads before, never marriage wise, just my mom's boyfriends, or I would call them my uncles, my mom's friends, but they never showed me what true, genuine love for a woman is supposed to be like. So when it comes to the importance of the father figure, not having a positive male figure can lead to more trauma and lead to more toxic relationships. That's not always the case, but for the most part, it is the case. And I don't think in the community, because this is in any community, I don't think we realize how these issues play a role or can impact us, yeah. Yeah. So let's get out of father figures. Let's dive into mothers, grandmothers, that parental, that mother, that structure of how a woman is supposed to be. If a woman does not have a structure, figure, idea of what the perfect woman is supposed to be, she will be lost. Because, baby, I have been lost my entire life. Now, don't get me wrong, I grew up in a household with my grandmother. My grandmother was a strong, independent black woman who ain't need no man. She ain't need no man. She had my grandpa used to come sleep over a couple times, while also having a wife. She had her boyfriend Clarence that none of us liked. And then men liked her. Like, they used to flirt with her. And she used to always say, "Oh, that man's so fine." I like, y'all miss my grandma. But, yeah, like, having a strong woman figure in your life is very important because, baby, that teaches you how to be a woman. And if you don't know how to be a woman, a good woman, the right woman, you will find yourself dealing with fools. But all in all, let's just say that family is very, very important. And it molds you into who you are. And mental health is very important. And guess what? It is not your responsibility to heal your entire family. It's not. You can heal yourself. Your family can watch you heal from a distance. Because, baby, once you heal, some things, some people, some environments just ain't it no more. Because sometimes it causes you to dive back into past trauma, past triggers, past behaviors that you don't necessarily want to be in and that you don't necessarily want to be a part of who you are becoming. And I say that because I've been there. I've had particular family members, me on my spiritual journey, me trying to become a better me, people saying, "You changing, why you changing? You not like that, that's not you, that's not normally you." Well, I see how this behavior isn't necessarily making me happy. I'm depressed as shit doing this, so I don't want to do this anymore. I really just want to be happy. But they can't understand that you're on the roll or on your journey to become happier. Like, sometimes family can be family is just a challenge because they've known you your whole life, but sometimes they just don't know how to accept change. They don't know how to accept you becoming a better version of you becoming the greatest version of yourself. And it's frustrating sometimes, but like I said, you got to learn to love family from a distance. And it's important for you to grow in order for them to see your growth. And I hate toxic family that say, oh, she acting bougie or she acting city. No, it's not city, sedity. I don't know, but acting different. No, she's just trying to grow and heal and trying to become the best version of herself or himself, you know. But y'all, I feel like I'm rambling now. That's about it. I really can do another part to this, but I don't like, I was supposed to talk about cousins again and one of my experiences with my cousins. I remember my first like heartbreak when it came to a cousin. Me and my cousin were really, really close, and I got blamed for her having sex. Mind you, I was virgin until I was 18. And that really, really hurt me that my family said that I was the reason behind her having sex. And then after that, I was no longer allowed to hang out with her. And that hurt me. Like, that was really like my best friend. That was like one of my truest friends. And like, that hurt. And I think that played another role in me friendships as an adult. I mean, mind you, that happened when I was in like maybe 10th grade, I think. 10th or 11th grade. It was right after my grandma passed, so I think 10th grade. No, my grandma passed 9th grade, so like, yeah, 10th or 11th grade. So having to deal with the passing of my grandmother, losing one of my closest cousins / friends. Oh, also my closest cousins moved into another state the summer right before my grandma passed. I suffered a lot of like loss, which developed into attachment issues. Like, whoo, child. When I say family is important, family sets you up. Family sets you up. But I'm gonna keep this video. I don't want to make it more short. This podcast episode, I don't want it to be, I said don't make it more short. I don't want it to be any more longer than what it already is. But I really, truly appreciate the support. I'm getting more plays on the actual audio side than I'm getting visually. But I'm still thankful and grateful for the support that I am getting. And I ask that you all, if you enjoy my podcast and you know someone that will enjoy the podcast as well, go ahead and send it over to them. Baby, welcome to the family. Let's get this family going. Let's get this family rolling. Let's heal. That's what life is about. Life is about healing. Go ahead and tune in to some old podcast episodes, old videos. Go ahead and continue to support. I love you guys so much. I'm about to go to the gym. You gotta get that body right. Oh, gotta get that body right. All right, bye.